Good morning, friends. Welcome to this fun room. This is a very exciting room to be in, especially if you're between the age of 0 and 2, 3. There's a lot of fun stuff to play in here. So we might actually, stop recording and just hang out and have fun in here for a little bit.
No, there's a massive pile of cushions right behind you, Kevin, and it's more like nap time.
Yeah.
I will confess, there's been days where I'm like, I should just go down to the nursery and grab a quick
Yeah.
toy.
Take a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've definitely, on some youth overnighters, found myself here on that.
So if we hear snoring as we walk by, we'll
Yes.
just know that's you. Okay.
Well, you thankfully, Jeff, made the coffee extra strong this morning.
But also, it's quite neat and tidy. So I'm hesitant to start playing as well too, because I don't put toys away very well. But welcome to Coffee Talk. Welcome to just this time to hang out and connect and just kind of check in around God's Word. So this last Sunday was Easter Sunday. What a great celebration day. We had eggs and coffee and scones and just a fun time just to be together. And so it was awesome. So thank you everybody for just being a part of that. That was very enjoyable, I think, for everybody that kind of showed up. And Jeff, you led us to this awesome thought of Zacchaeus. We called it "He sought, he saved," right? Because of that final verse that comes at the end, and we really looked at this whole section of what did you call it? The traveling.
Oh, the travel narrative. Yeah.
Travel narrative.
Yeah, you followed it up with a second title, though.
Gospel for the outcast.
Yes. Yeah. Where'd you get that from?
One of the books or commentaries I was
Okay.
reading on it talked about it
Yeah.
being the gospel for the outcast, and I like that.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
an incredible characterization of that section.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So, just a fantastic time to just connect around that, and then we kind of step back and say, okay, now what does this all mean? It means that God is actively pursuing. You kind of said that a few times. God is seeking you. God is seeking people continually. And the question I think you were trying to ask is, what does that change? How do we go about our daily lives knowing that God is constantly pursuing His people, lost ones, and even for those that have found Him, that doesn't mean He stops either. Right? How does that change our daily lives?
That's a great question. You got thoughts?
I don't know that it changes much for me, but that's because I think that's something that is one of those like, oh yeah, like many moons ago kind of wrestling through this. But here's some of the ways I kind of approach it and have been approaching over the years. First off, I think with an understanding of every person we meet as someone dearly loved by God, somebody that He actively wants to know and be known by. And so whether that person is like the friendliest guy on the block or the grumpiest curmudgeon, they are equally loved and sought by God. And that's, I think, an important thing to remember. And in a similar vein, based on how you were presenting on Sunday, I would say it builds empathy, because we all have been there, and and some days kind of are, right, where we, I don't want to say like totally lose our way, but we just sometimes, I think, fail to see, usually typically how we relate to others, right, fail to see the other for their worth before God. And in that way, that is, I think, a version of being lost, when we don't embrace the person for who God sees them to be.
Yeah, for me, it's it's constantly challenging, because it's really easy for me to like the people who I like, and then it's not that I don't really not like people, but there are certain people that I choose to hang out with and certain people that not so much, and just to recognize, like, Jesus is pursuing that person, as much as I pursue the people I like or whatever. So it's challenging to me. Am I joining Him? Am I pursuing them? Am I thinking about the person that I disagree with as someone that God's pursuing, even in their misunderstanding of Him? He's pursuing them, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they misunderstand me. Am I still pursuing them? And even just in my own, like, I think He's constantly wanting more. He wants more of me. You know, like the God of the universe wants more of me, and I'm not spending time with, you know, like I'm choosing to, no, God, I want to do this, you know, like, wow, yeah, right? Like what right have I to, or what reason have I to push aside the God of the universe for something so much less, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it challenges in so many ways.
And you know, as parents of teenagers and younger kids, and you know, sometimes they want to do stuff with you, and you're like, I'm kind of busy, or sometimes we want to do stuff with them, and they're like, I would rather do this other thing, right? And I wonder if that's maybe how God feels sometimes too, when we choose other things. But for me, even like Jeff, you even pointed out in our group study, like, how does it change even like the way that you perceive people you disagree with, right? To know that, man, that guy frustrates me. That's actually somebody that God is going to continually use in my life to say, that's a beloved child of God. That's somebody who I adore and have, you know, sought, and I am seeking. You know, if they have not been found, and somebody that I would love for you to get on board with that as well too. And that's where it becomes hard, because I can say, God, you love them great. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Leave me out of it.
Bless your heart. But you want me to go do that. You want me to be your hands and feet to that person. That's how He's seeking that person, but also that's how He's showing that I was once that person. Yeah. I was once an enemy of God.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's come to mind, other than like a Cat Stevens song, based on what you said there at the beginning, Kevin, thank you for that. It's now stuck in my head. But one of the things that comes to mind too is how God seeks people, and it's usually through us, right? Not that we would view our neighbors as targets, right? And like we become little snipers for Jesus to like pick people off, but just like to think that, you know what, sometimes the way I present Jesus in my daily, everyday comings and goings of life is how people will experience Jesus. And we have I think the calling to be His, you know, to use a well-used expression, His hands and feet, but just the way we introduce people to Jesus. And that first introduction is usually their first introduction to us and what we present. And you know, I am just, and it happened again yesterday, but I won't name names and call anyone out publicly, but I am so in awe of the ease of some in our church, particularly one gentleman comes to mind, who just is so invitational. And like, we had some people were at the church. I just trying to think of how much of the details to give away on this, but we had some people stop by at the church yesterday. This person was there, and as they were leaving, it was just a real simple, like, hey, if you feel like joining us on Sunday, and I'm just like, wow, like, way to make the most of every hour. But it's just such a friendly, easygoing invitation to like come and get to know Jesus. And it's so, and they do it so inoffensively,
like naturally,
and naturally, and it's warm and caring in how it happens. And I just think, man, like that is a way I think God seeks people continually through, like, and I just was, you know, not dumbfounded, just like, yeah, man, that is such a great, I'd love to be able to, and ask their permission, so, but like, you know, put people like that just before the rest of our church is like, guys, it's this easy. And this is what God's doing every day through us.
And not that it's the same thing, but that God can work through any kind of invitation. Whether it's come join us Sunday, or even just an invitation to be part of my life, or whatever.
Come join us for ball hockey, or come join us for dinner, or or can I join you as you're walking your dog, or can I, and just ways to intersect our lives.
Invite ourselves into their life as well. And speaking of that, we would like to invite you. Chris, can you tell us what's happening Friday?
Oh, yes. I'm like, where's he going with this? Because there's so many things on it. Friday is another Friday, where we are having kids grades 3 to 6 here at the church Friday evening from 6:30 to 8 o'clock for a night of games, fun. There'll be a snack and a story. And we just love to connect with kids and help them connect with how much God loves them. And so it's for kids who are part of the church and their friends. And so, yeah, we just love to have as many kids as we can come out at 6:30 on Friday night.
And what ages?
Grades 3 to 6.
Grades 3 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's Friday. That's an exciting day. Jeff, what's coming after that?
Sunday.
Actually, Saturday.
Yeah.
Technically, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
But Friday is there, but Sunday's coming.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sunday is baby dedication. We have 3 new babies in our church, and 3 families have asked to dedicate their children. One family has a couple other children to dedicate as well that day. So that's going to be a neat, and we're kind of taking the whole service to talk about baby dedication, well, maybe I should say child dedication, and families, supporting families, and our church family, supporting
So-
families, and being a family.
This is
Yeah.
these kids' bedroom now, right? Like they're gonna live here. Like, no, of course not. We're
So,
kidding.
yeah.
But if you're, because I make jokes part because I recognize some people in our church might be totally unaware of what
Yeah.
baby dedication is,
Yeah.
and we're gonna
Yeah.
cover that all in the morning too.
Yeah. Mhm.
And because it requires a lot of you, dear viewer,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
you know these children or not,
Right.
and it's going to be a great.
And it'll be kind of neat because you and I are kind of sharing that message time, and you know, being led into so it'll be kind of a little bit different service, but I'm excited about it. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Only a little bit different.
yeah.
I mean, we just haven't had a baby dedication.
Well, yeah, and we haven't shared,
Years.
but we haven't really shared a sermon much, so that's kind of.
Thankfully,
yeah.
we look enough different that people aren't wondering, is it the same person? Is it-
Yeah.
And so because of that, because, you know, we're calling it child or baby dedication, but it also is, like Chris said, it's a bit more of like a family dedication,
Mhm.
and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But what that does also mean is there's a couple things happening that day. We are actually gonna take communion that we normally do at the beginning of the month, and we're gonna actually push it back a week.
Mhm.
And so we won't be celebrating communion this Sunday, even though it's the beginning of the month. We'll be pushing it back a week and celebrating it the week after.
Mhm.
So you can be looking forward to that. Anything else? Anything I missed?
Oh, I think that's about it
Yeah.
for this week.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being with us, and hope you're having a wonderful Easter week. You know, it's funny, we have all this lead up, and then we have this week afterwards, and it's like, okay, now we have all this chocolate in our house and everywhere and all over the church and all that.
Speaking of, you know, the week after, we were in this room because we started something new called Tumble Time. I've not picked up something old, started something.
It's more of
We haven't really talked about
you know, it's a great way to phrase it. It's sort of like a boomerang that's returning, if you will, and maybe that is too. Just now picturing people getting clobbered on the head with boomerangs. Which
Okay,
it's not where I'm going to do it. Yeah, right. Anyways, yes, you're right. No, years ago when we had more little ones, we had this ministry of moms, and I mean, I think once
Parents.
or twice there was a dad that
Yeah.
came along, and well, I think in the new version we're right for now, anyways, focusing on moms and tots, and so, but in the past, right, they'd get together, and then all those kids kind of grew up and started going to school because it's definitely for like younger kids who aren't in school yet, and then. You know, that just kind of ran its course, and then we sort of waited, and now there's a new batch of little wee ones, and moms are coming out Tuesday mornings at
Yeah.
9:30.
5 moms in here on yesterday morning, and it was really fun to.
It sounded
see the,
fun.
you know.
I will say, you know, when I would walk by and just you hear the giggling and the
Yeah.
chatting, and I'm sure it sounded great. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a good thing to pick up, Jeff, because if
Yeah.
you are in that bracket of a mom with a wee little one coming
Or
out,
know of one, you know.
or know of one, yeah, maybe it's your grandchild
Yeah.
or your niece or nephew, and you want to bring them out. It's not a drop off and kids play. It's a meet other
Yeah.
parents.
It's
and
an invitational.
yes,
Yeah.
and come together. So that's Tuesdays, 9:30, right in this very room.
Yeah, awesome. So look forward to that, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday.